Holy shit, that is what I call a WrestleMania. What can you say about that show but wow, I feel like a complete dipshit for somehow thinking in my head this might not be the greatest of WrestleManias. I definitely wasn't one of the extreme ones that automatically thought this show was going to suck. I was definitely very positive, definitely very optimistic, but I was a little bit worried that the magic didn't seem like it was living up to the same type of shit that we felt last year. And am I so gloriously happy to be wrong? I had a feeling that this WrestleMania might surprise us. I mentioned in my last couple of commentaries that, hold your horses, let's not shit on this too quick, because you never know what kind of a rabbit the WWE will pull out of their hats, and I'll be damned if they did not give us one hell of a show tonight. The main event just ended. I have not had time to have this really soak in or register at all, but I am absolutely blown away by the great swerve that they threw at us. I was always of the opinion that this is not something the WWE is going to do anymore. I didn't think they had the guts to pull off like a big swerve like this in the main event of WrestleMania, but there was just something about this match right from the start that felt different, especially when Brock was getting color in the first 2 or 3 minutes of the match. Little did I know that not only were they going to tell a wonderful story with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, that was a good match. That was a hard-hitting match, and I had a feeling that those two guys would surprise you. I thought it was really unfair for people to think that Brock versus Roman Reigns was going to suck. How the fuck would you know? Those two guys have never stepped in the ring together before. And when you look at Brock Lesnar's match last year with The Undertaker, how slow and boring and methodical and how terrible a lot of the spots were, Roman Reigns is a new and very, very young opponent for Brock Lesnar, and he sold wonderfully. That was such a hard-hitting match. Reigns was throwing some Idahos out there. I mean, he kneed Brock Lesnar right in the bridge of the nose, threw him into the ring post really hard as well. It appeared like Brock juiced the hard way, and it was just a very, very brutal match, and Roman Reigns had a ton of sympathy. I mean, he was in there working like Jeff Hardy. Brock Lesnar is literally tossing this guy around, who he's been the dominant one in all of his feuds since he's been in the WWE. Here he's in the ring with this beast, and Brock is absolutely stomping the shit out of him. Hits him with an F5 in the first 30 seconds of the match, and then proceeds to put on a suplex show, completely demolishing Roman Reigns, kind of telling the story how Reigns won't quit. He kicked out of a couple of F5s. He was laughing. He was talking shit to Brock Lesnar. Come on, give me some more. I'm not done yet. And I was really concerned that, even though I enjoyed the beating that Brock was laying down on Reigns, I was a little bit concerned that Roman Reigns was then somehow going to win with just 1 or 2 Superman punches or something like that, and I didn't think that was going to look good either. And when Brock split his head open on that ring post, and he sold it so well, so wobbly-legged, he couldn't get up. Roman Reigns hit him, I think, with 2 Superman punches. He would not go down. Finally took the third one and hit the canvas hard. You really thought Reigns was going to take it right there. He even hit Brock with a couple of spears. And then in a brilliant twist, instead of waiting until after the match, and I just wish I would have said this out loud, because this is actually something I've thought before, but I know that I never mentioned it in a commentary. I always thought to myself, hey, who's to say the Money in the Bank winner cannot cash in the briefcase in the middle of the match? He does not necessarily have to wait until it ends, according to the rules, that is. So the fact that Rollins came out there when he did, threw a huge swerve at us, a big monkey wrench into the main event, I thought it was great. Turned it into a triple threat match, and, you had to wonder, if Rollins was going to get one back on Brock Lesnar for the way Brock beat him at the Royal Rumble. Comes out and curb stomps Brock Lesnar a couple of times. Roman Reigns interferes, and Roman Reigns is the one that ends up getting pinned. It was just a brilliantly worked storyline to where, number one, you didn't piss the fans off with a Roman Reigns victory. You also kept Brock strong because he didn't take the pinfall. You also kept Roman Reigns strong because he took the beating of a lifetime and didn't give up until a fresh guy came out there and pinned him. It was overall just a beautifully worked and written angle, and this is the type of shit that I wish the WWE could do all the time. The Raws leading up to this show were not that great, but the show itself delivered despite some of the winners and losers we got. Rollins was a very nice surprise. I think it's awesome that he won the WWE title. And another thing about Rollins, I almost thought, I might have tweeted it, I can't remember, but I had a feeling that Rollins might cash in when right before the bell rang, I don't know if you noticed this, they announced that the winner of the match, or whoever the WWE champion is going to be appearing on the Today Show tomorrow morning. And I thought to myself, you know what? First of all, Brock is not one to do media appearances, so I was worried it would not be him. And then I got to thinking thinking about Roman Reigns. I'm like, well, hell, if Roman Reigns does win, surely he's going to be severely beaten up if he's able to win. And if he's going to go on national TV at 9 o'clock in the morning or whenever the fuck that show comes on, and he's going to be there that early, fresh and pretty, to do a media appearance the very next day after having the fight of his life at WrestleMania against a very, very scary monster in Brock Lesnar, that's not going to say much for the beating that Brock lays upon him. And then throughout the duration of the match, when I was watching Roman Reigns get his ass kicked, I'm like, well, hell, neither one of these guys are going to be in any position to appear on the fucking Today Show tomorrow morning. And then having fresh Seth Rollins come down, who had his match hours earlier with Randy Orton. He's completely recovered from it, comes out, doesn't have to work very much in his match, when he cashed in the Money in the Bank, wins the title, and now he, fresh as a daisy, bright and everything like that, can show up on the Today Show tomorrow morning and, put over the fact that he's the new face of the WWE. So as the match progressed, I had a feeling it might go in that direction, but I was still shocked to hear Rollins' music hit and for him to come down there and steal Roman Reigns' thunder. The whole thing was just awesome. I absolutely loved it. The main event paid off. The main event came through. Here we thought it was going to be the shittiest thing ever. Yes, the Royal Rumble was stupid. Yes, I still right now do not know what the fuck the WWE was thinking booking that match the way they did, and I will be the first one to admit that that was a huge clusterfuck and a horrible idea, but at the end of the day, it worked out. Just like last year with Batista and how much we hated that, it worked out in the end with Daniel Bryan, and we got a great WrestleMania 30, and here we are this year. We got a great WrestleMania 31, 2 years in a row. Consider yourself lucky. Now, I'm sure there will be much more to come with Rollins and Reigns and Brock Lesnar in weeks to come. I guess Brock Lesnar will probably take some time off unless he comes out and demands a rematch right away, something at Extreme Rules. If not, I guess he'll go away and Rollins and Reigns will feud for the title. And it's still yet to be determined what kind of a contract Brock Lesnar has. I don't know if he's going to continue to work the same limited schedule that he does or if his appearances are going to be a little bit more. I don't expect him to be around all the time, but I'm thinking maybe a few more appearances than what he has previously been doing would be nice. So I guess we'll find that out in the future, and there's much more to come as far as this storyline goes. I can't wait to watch Raw tomorrow. I can't wait to see Seth's victory celebration. It should be pretty fucking awesome. Let's talk about the rest of the card. My predictions were horrible. I think I only predicted 4 matches right. The tag team title match, Daniel Bryan, John Cena, and the Divas match. Everything else I got wrong. On the pre-show or the kickoff show, of course, Tyson Kidd and Cesaro did retain the WWE tag team titles, which I was happy about. In the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, we saw no Sheamus. Maybe the WWE felt that was too obvious. Fans had picked up on it, so they've changed their plans with Sheamus. Who knows when he'll come out. I wouldn't be surprised if he would feud with Daniel Bryan over that Intercontinental title. But in another outcome that I didn't expect, the Big Show actually wins this Battle Royal, which I know a lot of people hated. I'm not a Big Show fan any more than anybody else is, but really when you think about it, the fact that this guy has not won a Battle Royal, that's absurd. Rey Mysterio has won fucking Battle Royals. How could a 500-pound guy with a legacy as big as the Big Show not win a Battle Royal in his life? So, I actually picked him to win last year. I'm pretty sure in my WrestleMania 30 predictions, I predicted the Big Show to win the Battle Royal last year. So the fact that he won this year, I didn't completely like it, but I didn't completely hate it. WrestleMania opened up exactly the way I thought it would with the Intercontinental title ladder match. Actually, it opened up with America the Beautiful, which was nice to see, although I have no idea who the fuck that was that sang it. But the Intercontinental title match I thought would be a great way to start the show, especially if you had a guy like Daniel Bryan win it, and that's exactly what happened. It was a very good match, lots of crazy spots, a really gnar slam by fucking Dean Ambrose, neck first on top of that ladder. I think it was Big Show that threw him off. I can't even remember who threw him off now, but the bump was sick. I really hope Dean Ambrose is okay. I thought he was dead. I like the finish as well. Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler scurrying up the ladder, a series of headbutts, just really kind of brutal, hard-hitting stuff. Finally, Ziggler falls off. Daniel Bryan grabs the belt. I mean, hey, I'm totally fine with that. Daniel Bryan won the World Heavyweight title in the final match of WrestleMania last year. He wins the Intercontinental title in the opening match of this year's WrestleMania. I think despite his injuries and everything, he's been treated very well, and hopefully Daniel Bryan could do good things with the Intercontinental title, and his run will not be the same as everybody else's run where he holds it for 2 weeks and then drops it and you forget he was ever champion. Maybe Daniel Bryan can wear this belt for a while, have some good championship matches on Raws and pay-per-views, and give him 6 months with it, WWE. Come on. The moment was great. I'm glad he won the title, but his reign is what counts now. So just make his title reign count and, bring some glory back to that fucking Intercontinental title, please. but I was very happy for Daniel Bryan, and congratulations to him. Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins was up next, which is another thing that got my mind turning about a possible cash-in. I'm like, well, Rollins is getting his match out of the way very early, so there is plenty of time for him to regroup and recover and cash in later on. I actually thought that, and he goes out there and has a hell of a match with Randy Orton, specifically the finish. That was amazing. I wonder how many times they had to practice that. It was executed to perfection. I don't think it could have gone any better. If you didn't see it, what happened is that Seth Rollins went for the curb stomp, but when he would go to step on Randy Orton's head, Randy Orton lifted up, springboarding Seth Rollins what seemed to be a good 10 or 11 feet in the air, and came down with a thunderous RKO and just an amazing finish to that match. And in today's day and age, we've seen so much. We've been so numb to everything because wrestling literally seems like it has done everything. Anytime we can see something that we have never seen before, and as many RKOs have we seen before, we've never quite seen a counter like that. That was an amazing fucking spot. And when you have a spot like that and you have a match like that, you kind of forget all about the winner. And I know Randy Orton winning probably didn't please a lot of people, but don't worry. Obviously, Seth got what was coming to him later on in the night. In a surprise move, they put on Triple H versus Sting next, and I was thinking to myself, wow, third match? This should take place later. This should take place when the sun starts going down a little bit, because it didn't seem like a daytime match to me. As the show went on and we saw what Triple H did later on, then it made sense. But I absolutely loved this match for a lot of reasons. Number one, so much of this shit I didn't see coming. I thought they were going to stick to the story of Triple H and Sting, have a very old school match. Eventually Sting would hit him with the Scorpion Death Drop and score the pinfall. But they added all sorts of elements to this thing. And Sting looked great, by the way. I thought him and Triple H worked a pretty good match. I mean, Sting's an old man now. He looked very good in there, and he was working hard. And I thought the two of them put on a great match. And then all of a sudden, literally everybody gets involved, and it was a really strange mix of people. First of all, DX's music hits right in the middle of the match. You have Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and X-Pac coming down to the ring. Right after that, the NWO's music hits, and you have the original NWO, Hogan, Hall, and Nash, come down to the ring to fight off DX, and you actually had a DX versus NWO fight, which was pretty funny, because how did X-Pac decide which side he was going to be on? And besides, the whole clique is out there, the same clique that was hugging on stage 24 hours ago at the Hall of Fame. They're all out there fighting amongst each other, and and even Scott Hall and X-Pac and Hogan, they all took bumps. It was actually pretty fucking awesome. I marked out hard. I had a raging mega huge boner throughout the whole thing. It was fucking awesome, and it just added so much. And you had a few near falls. Long story short, I think Sting's got Triple H in that terrible Scorpion Deathlock that he just does not know how to put on. And out of nowhere, here comes Shawn Michaels. I was wondering where he was. Gets in the ring and super kicks Sting. Triple H ends up pinning Sting and winning the match in a huge swerve. I thought for sure WWE would put over Sting in a huge moment here at WrestleMania, but instead Triple H wins with a whole lot of help from his friends. And then in another strange twist, they actually do a handshake. Sting and Triple H, with all those people in the ring, they shake each other's hand, and it almost made me wonder, was that it for Sting? I mean, is that going to be his retirement match? Does he just want to have one WrestleMania match just to say that he did it and that's it? And if he did, I'm surprised Triple H is the opponent that he would choose for that. I would almost think he would want, if he was going to do a job anyway, I would think he might want Taker or something like that. And maybe that's to come next year. I think that's still possible. I have no idea what the future holds for Sting. I know the WWE wants to do more with him, and I'm sure that they will, but the whole match had a feel to it like it might have been the end of Sting's career, which is weird that Sting would end his career in a ring with the Clique. You never really put Sting and the Clique together. He and Shawn have barely ever met. I think they've done a few things together. They actually did work, I think, in an independent match somewhere after Shawn retired, because they were both highly religious and involved in whatever the fuck they were doing, but they wound up on the same show, and I know they've met a few times and spoken, but they don't have a history. And Sting's history with the NWO and with Hulk Hogan, it's not exactly squeaky clean either, so I'm surprised that if Sting's going to end his career, that he's in there with those guys instead of Flair and Dusty and other guys like that. So, I guess we still have to wait and see what the future holds for Sting, but I don't have any problem with the fact that he lost. I'm surprised that he did. I know people hate it when Triple H wins, but the match itself was great. I try to put the winners and losers out of my mind as best as possible, and I think this WrestleMania is a really good example of that, because we had the Big Show, we had Randy Orton, we had Triple H, and we had John Cena all scoring victories tonight, yet the show was amazing. So even though I was surprised and maybe a tiny bit disappointed that Sting didn't win, because I'm a huge Sting fan, I would love to have him get his WrestleMania moment, moment. The way the whole match came off with all the fun involved, it was very entertaining. You know, for a feud that seemed like it was going to be really intense, really brutal, really personal between Triple H and Sting, turned out to be a very, very fun event. And it ended in a mutual handshake, which was another shocking thing I did not think I would see as far as this match goes. So for the entertainment and surprise aspect of this match, you know, I give it an A+. They gave us a little breather from all that excitement, had the Divas match next. Paige and AJ actually beat the Bella Twins. I predicted that, and surprise, surprise, I was right. I think that match was really just put there so Kevin Nash could change clothes, because right after that, they did the Hall of Fame spot where they brought everybody out on stage, and Nash, who was just involved in the Sting Triple H match, is now out there in a suit getting his accolades for the Hall of Fame. Cena and Rusev is up next. This match was a little controversial before WrestleMania started. Fellow YouTuber Delexman and I guess we're arguing a little bit, but not really. Like I've said, I've not really been paying too much attention to the product in the last few weeks, so I haven't been really upset or pissed off with Cena or anything like that. But there was a big debate again on whether or not Cena should win and yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get into that, but there was no way Cena was going to lose tonight. Delexman thought it would be a huge mistake for John Cena to win, because it's a huge mistake anytime he wins. And I would agree with that statement if John Cena would have won, say, at Fastlane, because I see this as a program. This is another big guy that they're putting with Cena. I think it's going to go one more pay-per-view. And to say, oh, it would be wrong for Rusev to lose, no, it wouldn't. That's probably what should happen. Rusev beat John Cena unconscious at Fastlane. Now John Cena wants a rematch. They've done all this build for it. It's USA versus fucking Russia and this whole national pride storyline, which I actually don't like these things, but still to this day, they are very over. John Cena is fighting for American pride, which is something I don't give a shit about, but still a lot of people do. And I think John Cena winning was an absolute necessity in this situation, because they can always do another match at Extreme Rules. And if you notice, Rusev was not destroyed. One thing I would not like to have seen happen is if John Cena made Rusev tap out. I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to see Rusev, quote unquote, buried. I just wanted to see Rusev's long winning streak end. And what better place to end it than at WrestleMania? Do you want this shit to end at Payback? No, you don't. You want it to end on a big stage. And they fucking gave Rusev a great program with John Cena that is not done yet. I expect some sort of a rubber match at Extreme Rules. They gave him a granddaddy entrance. Motherfucker rolled up in there in a tank. How awesome was that? You know, this guy has got a bright, bright future. And I just cannot agree with the statement that working with WWE's poster boy, Mr. Merchandise, Mr. Face of the WWE, John Cena, at WWE's biggest show, how anybody can possibly view that as a negative thing, I will have no idea. And my brain will never, ever operate like that. For me, this is something to where when you think about Rusev, his past, where he came from, you know, coming up through NXT, he's only been on the main roster for, less than 2 years now. He's got a big-time match like that with Cena, much like Bray Wyatt did last year. It's a big stage. If you can just put out of your mind who wins and who loses. Now, I agree. I'm glad that Rusev didn't get buried. And if he would have, if John Cena would have gone out there and kicked his ass in 5 minutes and made him tap out, then yeah, that would have been bullshit. But they kept Rusev strong. John Cena won exactly the way I thought he would. Just a little botched distraction from Lana. You know, Rusev knocks her out, and John Cena is able to hit him with, the F5 and score the pinfall. You know, that's not bad at all. That's a simple loss. John Cena was not made to look like Superman. Rusev held his own throughout that whole match, and Rusev has held his own throughout this whole feud. Aside from that one moment that everybody seems to think is so bad, where John Cena forced Rusev to give him the title shot, that's the only time I thought that they could have done a little bit better with Rusev. Otherwise, he's looked like a fucking boss in there against Cena. And the way he lost is not that big a deal. John Cena winning the U.S. title is also a pretty cool thing, because John Cena has just taken a step down. Even when John Cena takes a step down, it's still not good enough for these motherfuckers. At least he's out of that world title picture. At least we're not getting John Cena versus Brock Lesnar 5. Do you want to fucking see that? So put John Cena in a program with a young guy. That's basically what John Cena's there to do now. That's his role. That's what he should be doing. And Rusev may still have his day again. Maybe he'll get another victory over John Cena. And the way Rusev has been rolling and with the showings that he's been putting on, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see a babyface turn for him in the future. And I even tweeted that I bet you anything Rusev will join a babyface team at Survivor Series. I prefer him as a heel, but knowing the pace of the WWE and how quickly everything moves, this guy will be babyface in less than a year. Now, if you disagree with me on that and you think it was the worst thing in the world for John Cena to beat Rusev, then go ahead and think that, because I don't give a fucking shit. Moving on to another amazingly awesome part of the show. Another thing that I did not see coming. Triple H and Stephanie. Triple H has been a busy boy, just like Kevin Nash is. Triple H is back out there. You know, that's got to be a WrestleMania first. A guy comes out and cuts a promo in the ring after he's already had a WrestleMania match. That's got to be a first. Triple H is out there with Stephanie, and they're just fucking flapping their gums, and I said right away, I'm like, oh, this is WrestleMania. Somebody's coming out. You know, the first name that popped in my mind was The Rock. And about 3 minutes after I tweeted that, sure enough, out he comes. He comes out there to confront the two of them, and you just think to yourself, wow, Triple H not only began and ended a feud at WrestleMania with Sting. I mean, it seems like that Sting thing was already put behind him in the same show. You know, the same very show that he beat Sting on, he's already moved on to his next guy. The Rock comes out there, and you kind of think they might be setting something up. Maybe The Rock can commit to WrestleMania 32, and maybe this is the beginning of that. These guys did tease a match last year. Rock appeared on SmackDown or something, and they had that backstage spot with Triple H and The Rock, and we were all like, oh, wow, that would actually be pretty cool to see. And there's definitely a storyline there with some of the real life, maybe animosity between the two, and maybe a little bit of Triple H's jealousy. Man, they could make a great storyline out of that. So if they want to go in that direction for next year's WrestleMania, fuck yeah. Or maybe even SummerSlam. Maybe this was a plant for SummerSlam. Maybe they're not going to wait another year. So Rock coming out there to get in Triple H and Stephanie's face definitely gave us that idea, and then they threw us another bone. Stephanie starts just trashing The Rock. He gets all sad, acts like he's going to leave the ring, walks around the outside of the ring right past his mother, who I think he's going to stop and give her a kiss or something. But guess who's sitting next to his mother? UFC fucking champion Ronda Rousey. She hops the fucking barricade, gets in the ring, and now you got a goddamn UFC champion in a WWE ring. I am so glad that Dana White and Vince McMahon do not hate each other, because the fact that something like this is even possible is pretty mind-blowing in today's day and age. The UFC people and the purists are probably going to fucking hate that, because I know they probably don't like pro wrestling. They don't want their people involved in it at all, but it was really cool to see her in there with Triple H and Stephanie, and she beat the shit out of both of them. The segment was great. I loved it. It was just what we needed, you know, in between some of these matches. You know, you got to kind of take us down a little bit, and having a Rock appearance in the middle of the show like that, getting physical with Triple H, planting a seed for a potential future match, having a big-time UFC star crossover into the WWE at the same time. It was pretty fucking awesome to see and kind of surreal. Great segment. This WrestleMania was taking me, at least, on a hell of a ride. I don't know how you guys were viewing it, but I thought this WrestleMania was far exceeding expectations. I thought by the third match, it had already surpassed the point where it could not suck, where even if the rest of the matches, you know, took place and they all sucked, the show would still be okay because of the strength of the beginning of the card, and the shit just kept on rolling. Now we're moving on to yet another highly anticipated match. That's another thing about this WrestleMania that I was really surprised how many people were shitting on it, because we were getting matches that we've never seen. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns we've never seen. Sting and Triple H we've never seen, and really, we've never seen Bray and Undertaker either. I think maybe in a tag match or something when the Wyatts first came in a couple years back, but they haven't, I don't know of them wrestling in a one-on-one match, and this is a big deal for Bray Wyatt. Again, just like Rusev, win, lose, or draw for Bray, he's on a big stage with one of WWE's icons in The Undertaker. Now, I predicted Bray Wyatt to win, and I kind of wanted him to, because as much as I love The Undertaker, as much as I love him, I gotta tell you, and I have to be brutally honest with everyone and myself, and I don't even like to say this, but I really want The Undertaker to retire. I'm just ready. I was completely deflated last year when the streak ended, and to see Undertaker win tonight, almost in a weird way, made me sadder about last year, because now he's got this one loss in between all these victories. It just doesn't feel right. I'm happy about his loss for what it has done for Brock Lesnar, because Brock's the best thing WWE has going right now, and his victory over The Undertaker last year has a lot to do with that. So in that respect, I love it. But the sacredness of The Undertaker's streak, to me, it's just heartbreaking that it ended. And now that he came back, he looked a lot better than last year. He had a much better match with Bray Wyatt than he did with Brock Lesnar last year. And he looked good, and I was glad that he won, and Bray Wyatt did a great job, and they had some good spots in the match. But still, you know, I kind of wanted Bray Wyatt to win just because I'm ready for The Undertaker to hang it up. I think it would be a great feather in Bray Wyatt's cap. A lot of people felt that he was buried last year by John Cena, but you know what? Bray worked the second to last match in this year's WrestleMania. How did that hurt Bray Wyatt? How did his character suffer from that when he's higher up on the WrestleMania card this year than he was last year in the match that he lost? It's just a little perspective is all I'm saying. People are so hung up on that wins and losses. It's about the stage you're on. It's about who you're put in there with. with. Yes, I wish Bray Wyatt would have won last year, but at the end of the day, he was still in there with Cena. A guy like Cena, even though he's hated, he's still a big money maker for the WWE. That's a big-time match no matter who you are. If you're in there with Cena, you mean something. And Bray Wyatt took him on last year. People didn't like the way the feud went, but hey, here he is this year, working second to last match against The Undertaker, arguably a bigger icon than John Cena. And unfortunately, he had to lose to The Undertaker. I would have really liked to see him win, but still, Bray Wyatt's a hell of a character. He's a big part of their future, and, yes, he lost 2 WrestleManias in a row, but he worked big-time matches 2 WrestleManias in a row, and you know what? I'm going to call it right now. No matter who Bray Wyatt wrestles next year, no matter who it is, Bray Wyatt will win at WrestleMania 32. I guarantee it. And I'm curious on some of your opinions about that match, by the way. How did you think The Undertaker looked? Did you like him? Were you glad that he won? Were you disappointed that he won? Was anybody out there as mad at The Undertaker for beating Bray Wyatt as they were at John Cena for beating him last year? I'm just curious. I've got mixed feelings about it. The Undertaker is a big part of my wrestling life. I never want to complain about seeing him win. But like I said, after that streak ended last year, I kind of thought this would be a good opportunity for Bray to score a big-time victory for his career. All in all, I've got to give WrestleMania an A+. I was surprised by a lot of things. There was a lot of things that I did not see coming, which I really enjoyed. Being surprised and having those feelings, it was great. I think the WWE went above and beyond expectations, especially for those of us that didn't think this pay-per-view was going to be the greatest WrestleMania ever. It turned out to be one of the best. And I think it would take a really special type of asshole to trash this pay-per-view. You can definitely have problems with it here or there. It wasn't a flawless pay-per-view by any means, and it definitely was not perfect. But for what everybody was expecting, to me, this pay-per-view was awesome. I enjoyed damn near every second of it, and that was $9.99 well spent. Before I sign off, I guess I'll mention briefly the Hall of Fame. I did end up watching that last night. Very, very long. Went really long, but highly enjoyable. Again, it definitely exceeded expectations. 2 people for me stole the show. Alundra Blaze and Shawn Michaels. Medusa had one fucking awesome speech, pulling that belt back out of the trash can and all of that. It was great. She was very entertaining, and I loved every word she said, and her shout-outs, they really got to me. I loved everybody that she thanked. It was awesome. Shawn Michaels, who incidentally did induct Kevin Nash, so I don't know what the fuck Mick Foley was tweeting about, and if he was joking, I didn't understand the point of the joke. Why would he even, I don't even understand the point or what was supposed to be funny about that. I mentioned in my last commentary that I have no idea why Mick Foley would be inducting Kevin Nash. That is Shawn Michaels' job, and luckily Shawn Michaels was there to do his job, and in typical Shawn Michaels fashion makes it impossible for anybody to follow him. He came out there and said some hilarious shit. I mean, some of the things he was saying, I was cracking up. I know Vince was probably losing his fucking mind, but it was great, and I thought it was cool that Kevin Nash went on last. I was a little bit surprised Macho Man was the headliner, but they made the right call because the Macho Man going into the Hall of Fame, although I'm thrilled that he's finally in there, I actually didn't like his induction. I didn't really like Hogan's speech. He was trying way too hard to get the point across that he and the Macho Man were quote-unquote friends. He mentioned that they were good friends like a half a dozen times in the first minute of his fucking speech. He would not shut the fuck up about how they were friends. The whole thing just had a really just uncomfortableness to it, and I just thought that this whole thing was 10 years too late. Macho Man should have been in 2004 when they brought back the Hall of Fame for the first time at WrestleMania 20, or any year after that while he was still alive. To do it today in 2015, with a bitter enemy inducting him, and then his brother who just goes out there and starts dropping rhymes on us. I mean, Lanny Poffo was fucking one poem after another. I know that's how Lanny expresses himself, that's fine, but I was getting a little sick of the poems, and to me, the whole thing just kind of fell flat a little bit, and I don't think it would have been an appropriate main event or finish to the Hall of Fame. To have Kevin Nash go on last, you can have the whole clique come out and end on that note. They definitely made the right call there. Macho Man should have been the headliner and should have gone on last had he been alive, no question about it. But the fact that he is no longer with us and Lanny had to accept on his behalf, I'm fine with WWE shuffling things around and putting Nash on last. The Warrior Award was very touching and very emotional, although it felt like Dana, Warrior's wife, talked for literally 3 hours. Daniel Bryan coming out there and presenting that award to Connor, and his dad coming out there and accepting for him. That was a very, very touching part of the show. How can you not like that? How can that not bring a smile to your face, and you feel so bad for that kid and what he went through and how he touched everybody. Everybody just loved that kid Connor. It amazed me how that entire roster, were just really just fell in love with the kid. And for him to be honored that way, you know, I thought it was really special. And I really enjoyed that part of the show. Loved Zbyszko's induction. Glad to see Bruno was able to induct him. Whole Hall of Fame ceremony to me was very enjoyable, except for me not being completely thrilled with the Macho Man's part of the show. So that is it. I'm going to get out of here, edit this fucking thing, get it up on YouTube, because I know you guys are dying to know what I have to say. I will most likely be up here Tuesday, Wednesday-ish, especially if big things go down on Raw. I will try to come up here with a post-Raw commentary. And after that, I'm off to Hawaii for a week, and you won't hear from me for at least that long. So let me know your take on the show, what you thought about it. It's good points and bad points. Does it get an A, a B, a C? Does it get a 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5? Just let me know everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I hope you guys were as entertained as I was. I loved this year's WrestleMania. I thought it was great. And it feels good to know that I was positive and optimistic, you know, leading up to this pay-per-view and really holding out hope that the WWE could surprise us, and they did. Bravo, WWE. Bravo to all the wrestlers and all the boys for making this one hell of a show. Great action, great storytelling, and a great, great WrestleMania. I will catch you guys in a few days. Until then, peace.